evening, everyone. I am happy to be here in this conference again in Coimbatore. In last year, we conducted a similar conferences, so I can say this is the part 2 of that series. In part 1, we discussed about how important is the digitalization in the current competitive dynamic world, dynamic manufacturing world, and why it's necessary, what kind of challenges we are facing currently in terms of manufacturing processes, in terms of time to market, in terms of getting the products designed as per the customer requirements, and how digitalization helps in improving the processes. So in this part 2 series, we are discussing what are the challenges in implementation of digitalization. Once we decide, okay, I have the manufacturing unit and where I should start. Okay, I have decided to implement digitalization. There is no way out. There is no choice. We have to go digital. That's the demand from the world market, from the domestic market, from the customer, from your supplier. So, as a manufacturer, I need to go digital. So, what are the challenges we might face in terms of implementing the digitalization, short term as well as long term? So today's topic of panel discussion that how Indian industrial equipment and machinery manufacturers can target global market by leveraging digitalization. So once we decide to target global market, of course the export is required for the country, for a manufacturer to have the consistent growth. We can't just depend on the domestic market. We have to go with the world. As our Prime Minister is also quite busy in marketing our country, making the world know what kind of strengths India has, inviting investments in our business. So we need to support his initiative in terms of increasing our export, in terms of making ourselves competitive in the global market. Because unless you are competitive, unless you have that strength and ability, you can't target the global market. For domestic market, okay, there is plus or minus, your products or your processes might get accepted. But in the global market, you need to have certain standards, you need to maintain certain standards. And you need to have, and to maintain the certain standards, you need to have the proper manufacturing processes, proper products, you need to maintain quality. And for this, what is required is the digitalization. So, we have a quite eminent set of panelists today to discuss this topic with us. I would like to invite the panelists, Mr. M. Karunakaran, who is the Senior Associate Vice President and Head of Operations in Shanti Gears. Sir, please. Mr. O.A. Balasubramaniam, who is the CEO of Fruits Polycarp. Mr. T.S. Sundaram, who is the Joint Managing Director of Super Machine Works, Regional Manager South and the Business Manager of Automotive Division in Engine Machinery India. You know Mr. Ajit Mohan Parakkar, who is the Head of Operations in LG Electric and Industries. Mr. Shivendra Bansotra, who is the Technical Consultant in Siemens PL, making it here in this conference. I am sure their views, their opinions, their recommendations will definitely of great interest to you, great help to you. That will help you understand what is digitalization, what kind of challenges we might face in implementation. I am facing these challenges and how digitalization can help. As I said earlier, the world is going digital, whether it's the food and beverage industry or it's the industrial machinery industry or machine tool industry or automotive industry. We have to go digital. Of course, the automotive industry is the best example to go digital because there are a lot of multinationals in the world who are also in India. They have to maintain certain standards, and I think they are one of the first to have digitalization in their manufacturing processes. And you can see the results. The cars which we used to have probably 25 years back, the cars which we have now, there is a substantial lot of difference in terms of features, in terms of the way they run, in terms of the way the drivers drive the car, in terms of getting the cars detected. So we need to follow those standards to compete in the global world, and then only you can target the global market. So manufacturers are ready to adopt the digitalization strategies, but they are not just sure how and why. So despite there is the extensive media hype and discussion among the industry pundits that the many manufacturers still lack the clarity around possible business models and return on investment which can be expected from adopting these disruptive digital technologies. As Mr. Ramesh Rajamani also mentioned, this digitalization is full of hopes, but at the same time it's full of ambiguity. So there is no clear, precise documentation which we can follow. Probably Shivendra can help by addressing this. And so we need to address these kind of challenges, these kind of questions while we implement or while we decide on digitalization. So let's start with the first question. So as the manufacturing sector is undergoing transformation globally, not just in terms of digitalization, but in terms of the way the processes are transformed, the way the products are getting manufactured. Probably 30 years back, the way products were getting manufactured was different than the way it's manufactured now. The way we look at the quality, the way we look at the customer service, the way we look at the customer demands. So we need to take into consideration all these things. So starting with this question, as the manufacturing sector is undergoing transformation, how ready are the industrial or Indian manufacturers or their factories or their people or their system or their infrastructure to adopt these digital technologies, whether it's Industry 4.0 or IoT or any kind of digital technology? And what kind of challenges are anticipated in this implementation? So I'll start with Mr. Sethi Kumar. So how ready are Indian manufacturers, how ready are the Indian factories and the people to adopt the digital technologies? You can start talking it with the audience.
Good evening, everybody. As far as Indian manufacturers are concerned, still we are in the basic level. Even if you take Europe, so I am representing the company called Engel Machinery from Austria, and we have the factories in Germany also. So a lot of our customers, they resort to the e-factory or the digitalization system. But still, even in Europe also, it is 15 to 20% currently. And second thing is that only from 15 to 20, little more percentage, they are ready to go for this kind of system. But even in Europe, nearly 70-75 companies or industries, still they are not fully ready. We cannot say they are not ready, but still they are not fully ready for the transformation. So in India, except few companies, because we have a e-factory system we introduced nearly 10 years back, and we were emphasizing all the customers, especially who is having more than 20 or 30 machines. We have the customers, they have 40 or 50 machines. So we were pushing them to go for e-factory system, but still last 10 years, still we could not succeed much. But now, slowly, because of the global competitiveness and the requirement from the global customers, more standardizations, now there is a push from them. For example, a lot of our customers, they are doing job work for Schneiders. So last week I was in Bangalore, I was participating with the program conducted by Schneider. Now they are pushing all the vendors to go for this kind of digitalization systems so that they can monitor what's happening at their customer's factory. So it's going to happen, but as of now, we are not fully prepared, and even most of the customers are not aware of the thing. So first our job should be, we should enlighten what is digitalization, how it works, how it's in nutshell, how it works, how it functions, what are the benefits. Then slowly we have to educate so that within short period, I think slowly we will come to the system. That's what I feel.
So I will put the next question to Mr. Karunakaran. That there is always this question that how relevant is this technology for me, for my business? What is there in it? How will it benefit for me? So how will you address that? There is a digitalization which you need to adopt, that's for sure. It's on paper, it's in your mind, it's in the world. But my question is, as a manufacturer, how relevant it is to me, to my business, and what is in it for me? I'm sure you might be getting those questions. So how do you address those questions?
No, I think any business, it's a kind of continual improvement program. I think it's there in digital. So it's very evident that today the need is digital. I think you see in any part of your business or operations, either it could be in the form of one form or the other, digital takes place in our business or kind of day-to-day affairs. I think especially for Shanti, I think that's very important. It's a 49-year-old company, but again, it's very important the kind of the transformation happens in terms of the day-to-day activities, and also today the kind of the technology which we saw in the mobile, how it has transformed in the touch screen. Also in the design, see what we have. In fact, I also had an opportunity to attend the conference in Warwick University for the advanced manufacturing programs. Also the digital technology is one of the things. We also saw some kind of Siemens, the PLM, and also the virtual simulation. So it's one form or the other. Today the world is moving towards the digital across in design or in manufacturing. In Shanti's concerns, we also have kind of the OEE monitoring. Okay. Today it's very everybody knows the OEE monitoring in terms of the basic things. But today the kind of the spindle load, I think most of the machines you can see. Today we are only utilizing only 30% of the spindle load because we know the utilization part, it's considered on the availability of the machine. So out of 8 hours, how effectively we are using the machine. But how efficiently we are using the spindle load is the thing now which it's a revolution. We got it now, so we need not invest on the new machine, so existing machine we can able to do it. Also the kind of the shop floor things on the kind of customer order status, because we are also making the discrete products. The biggest problem is we know the customer should know when I can get the product. Because we make 70% are custom built, so at what stage. So customer can log in and get the information. So what is my order status, when it can be delivered. So it can be customer also can, without asking anyone in the system, he can know himself. So the kind of the digital technology is kind of available across all the functions, all the departments. So it will be very, very useful one for the business to get in and move in so that for the future growth will be very sure. I think no need to have the doubt on some kind of technology.
Good observation. Welcome to Mr. Sundaram. Like earlier, Mr. Aramani mentioned his observation that many companies are still using the old machinery and old systems because their activities, their suppliers and their customers are using the same. So if they change it, their suppliers and their customers also have to change it. So how do you address this? Because for digitalization, of course, there has to be some change in.
This is basically based on the size of the industry and the scale of operations the industry is facing. For a very small industry, you cannot implement total digitalization at every point. But for a large scale industry, definitely yes. And for a medium scale industry, you have different kinds of approaches. Maybe you can control inventory at one stage by controlling the raw material flow and then making the manufacturing processes simpler and monitoring it. And at the same time, you can have a package of controlling and digitalization, the assembly process and sub-assembly processes. And in other forms, you can also have CRMs like customer relationship management softwares, where you can control your sales and after-sales service. You can integrate this with your back-end process, with your supplier chain. And I think it depends upon the size of industry. It cannot be generalized for all the industries.
So when you say you need to consider what the customer is using, what the supplier is using, how will you make it little synchronized with each other? Like once you decide to have digitalization, it will have an impact on the entire value chain. So how do you synchronize that value chain? That's important question.
Okay, synchronizing is again dependent upon the value of the product. Like say,
correct.
You cannot. That's what I was telling about. When you take a small scale investment, you have to say get the limited. You have a limited scope for digitalization. But when you have a bigger and automation product, say suppose you are making a full assembly setup or something like that, there it is more.
So you need to consider the business activity and what kind of products. Right. I will come to Mr. Parakar now. Since you have been playing the leadership role and you have been conducting a lot of leadership lessons also. So this digitalization activity, what kind of impact it will have on the value chain, and do we need some kind of change management scenario in that, and what should be the approach?
I think to answer this question, I would start from the basics itself. First, I would say we should have a national policy on this industry 4 and IoT. We don't have that. So first we should have. Now the topic is leveraging the digitalization. So digitalization must be leveraged. Okay, I'm just elaborating, a little bit elaborating. Digitalization must be leveraged. I don't know how many of you know, we are having inflation at present, but we are having at the same time, we are having recession. How can this happen? Everybody is telling about recession, at the same time everybody is telling about inflation. See, recession, if the supply is more and demand is less, it's recession. But then how is it? Because only 12 to 15% of our economy only is growing. That is where the leveraging must be balanced. The major 85% of the economy is depending on the 12 to 15% for the growth. So we are not having actual growth. This is a growth without creation of jobs. So what is to be done? For leveraging this digitalization, we have to digitalize our agriculture. That is one major area where we are not automated. We have to automate it. We have to stop people going for the jobs. We have to skill the people. We have to start finishing schools and skill the people in this agriculture and all the unorganized sector. And India can be a supplier of labor also to the entire world, because we do have the demographic dividend. So I would say the leveraging, that is the first thing basic I wanted to say. We have to expand the digitalization to a broader sector. That is one thing. Now second one, we speak about smart cities, but we never speak about smart factories. Why are not we making it as part of a policy? Smart factories are required. ISO is not telling, government is not telling. We do require smart factories as well as smart villages. We never speak of smart villages, we never speak of smart factories. So that is the requirement of our hour, and once we do that, then this cost effectiveness and the quality, there is something called cost of quality, which can be amortized in the mass production. So unless the cost effectiveness comes and to the value chain, what you call by the name value for money, unless the customer gets something called value for money, this digitalization will be fruitless. So that is exactly where this digitalization contributes in the value chain. We have to have, the customer should have value for the money he is spending.
Correct. But that's true. We should have a national policy for Industry 4.0 or digitalization. I will pass on the same question to Mr. Subramanian, that what impact digitalization will have on the value chain, and do we need some of the change management and the change approach towards this?
First of all, let me thank Shekhar, EM and Siemens for giving a session for every one of us. For most of us, it will be an eye-opener, because though we have heard about IoT, industrial IoT, Industry 4.0, I think we had a very comprehensive session, understanding all those things. See, when electricity was invented, we all felt that it was only for lighting. But today, we cannot have a day without electricity. So, we have to progress and we have to continue with this kind of IoT or Industry 4.0 activities. And we have to prepare for that. There is no escape from that. Why people from Europe and US are coming to us for buying products? Because we are producing low-cost products. Of course, quality is taken granted, and we have to give quality, otherwise they will not come to us. We have to think in a different way, because from Europe and US and India, the only difference, the major difference, I'm not telling the only difference, the major difference lies in the labor. Our salaries are low, that's why we are able to give those products to Europe or US, because material cost is same, machine is same, everything is almost same. There we are having the edge. That we have to think. Then only we will be successful on Industry 4.0 or IoT or whatever it is. Industry IoT or whatever it is. For example, I read an article recently. In US, somebody wants about 250 parts for aerospace pyramids. There was some problem with the existing supplier, so they want just 250 parts. That is a very, very critical one. Normally, to get these parts, 65 engineers has to work for about at least 16 weeks to get out these parts on a regular manufacturing way. Maybe some aluminum parts or something like that. Whereas with the 3D printing technology, additive manufacturing technology, just with 6 engineers, they did it. Otherwise, there were about 65 engineers for 16 weeks. They did it in 1 week, within 1 week. This was happened very recently. So, which way we have to go? Of course, the cost was slightly higher, but the time to market was very, very important one. That is very important. So, they were able to give the parts, maybe slightly at extra cost, maybe double the cost or whatever it is. But in reality, that is going to be a very big challenge for every one of us. The additive manufacturing or 3D printing, all this is going to be important. But the biggest challenge for us is the cost. But still, we are in this technology, we are at the very nascent stage. Still, the understanding is not that good. We have to go a long way. There is no doubt about that. I think people like Siemens, they will come forward to educate us in going forward to the next level. Otherwise, for example, we have taken a small initiative on IoT. I am from a casting company where we are manufacturing castings, aluminum pressure castings, castings. We are supplying 40% of our castings to Europe and US and other companies. Recently, we have done a very, very small thing on IoT, connecting all the machines. So, sitting from here, I can know whether my machines are running or not, if it is running, which component is running, whether the temperature in the furnace is currently correct or not, what is the pressure level, what is the piston pressure level, all those things we can see it sitting anywhere. So that is a small, that we can do it. Unless we do that, when the transformation comes, where everything becomes equal, everything becomes global, our competitiveness will be going up. So we have to think about that, and we have to change. It is not a change, it is only an evolution. We can't change it just like that, because we are already invested heavily on our infrastructure. So we have to pick and choose for our kind of environment, and we have to move on. That is only part. Okay, thank you.
Welcome to Shivendra now. That all the other panelists have already thrown light on the challenges faced in terms of old machinery, skill upgradation, upgrading the infrastructure. So I will go to my earlier question that if there is a question like how relevant is this technology for me and what is there in it for me, how will it help me? So before taking the decision on whether I should go digital or not, these questions will arise. So how do you address that question?
Allow me, before I answer this question, a couple of factual information on the previous question.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the questions which was there that when you do digitalization, how you do synchronization between OEM and a supplier? How does synchronization happen? Now, we have seen today that digitalization is very vast subject, right? And synchronization can happen multiple layer.
Yeah, it's not just one kind of technology which can describe.
Like an automotive OEM level, like various company, like OEM was forcing suppliers to come on the same platform. Like when Nissan asked the supplier to do that, they asked them to invest in a technology so that when supplier is doing some basic tool design, it is synchronized with ESL. So that was a practice that Nissan, Ford, and some of these companies are forcing. Now they have been early adopter of technology. There are elements of technology. You want to say digitalization 4.0 is not a completely new technology. There are elements of there. Now it has the scope has increased. In Indian scenario also the changes are happening. If you see the project which are of national importance, when you take off a summary design, there was system used by design, director of design was different. There was design agency which was different. Shipyard was using different. Now they have standardized on the supplier with the core designing of the modeling. They are the same system. They are doing a pilot to So the shipyard is connected to the directorate in terms of the getting the right position. Now say projects of national importance. If you see what is the next which is in the radar, you will find that okay, so the aircraft carrier is the new one which is coming. There are 3 public sector shipyards with the director are going to be in the same platform for next 50 years. So they take a policy, they will take a decision, the synchronization, what to use, what technology to do. Another example is the kind of the, you can see the need of the railways to modernize. So one of the coach manufacturing has invented digitalization. They have set up a center of excellence only for locomotives. That is basically, I'm saying, the synchronization planning. Now we need to do this thing. There are 3 things which are there. First thing, you need to take start talking about digitalization, you take a decision and then you utilize it. So this will happen over a time period scale. On top of the one thing which is required is the manpower, the workforce which is required. Which I say, the topic what I say, there is a policy which is required at a government level on industry 4.0. So before industry, at a central level the policy came, Siemens also invested at state level of Gujarat, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Jharkhand to put up along with state education to put up industry 4.0 to where the students are equipped with all this technology. So you get a workforce which is not on a 2D tool which are equipped to do that. And there are good examples I can share if anybody interested. You can log on to internet and see how students are doing wonderful. If you see last 2 weeks, maybe within last week itself, if you search on that, the government of India has come out with a news that we will asking 6 premier institutes of India, which is primarily IITs and some of the other colleges, to set up an industry 4.0 series. So policy are being shaping up, but it's not a one-stroke policy. I think steps are being taken and investments are coming. That is the biggest point.
I believe sorry to interrupt, the Andhra Pradesh government has already started implementing Industry 4.0 very successfully.
So Gujarat was one of the first of them. Yeah, it's early adopter, but still a significant job. It should be, and they have put up a video. You can basically have a look to get a device. They have put up machines. They have put up, it's not only talk, they put up the whole. But coming to your question, is that what it is for me, how I should go about that particular one. Finally, this is not a one product, one machine, one infrastructure which I can buy and say that yes, I have invested. Sometimes I also know there are a lot of companies which are only investing in technology because this peer colleague has invested, it was a peer pressure that okay, something would be good about that. So what we say when we are going to, what is good for me, I start engaging with the technology service provider. We put up that this is my goal. I am serving my customer. They are coming with this kind of pressure, reduced time. So basically what we do, we basically discuss with the organization what are your business goals, and we say these are the technological front which can contribute towards your business goal with the benefit which other customers achieve and the ROI which you can get, and we jointly prioritize that. So I think is that it's a joint role. They should conceptualize that digitalization is important, and they should basically start involving the technology partner. We call it a blueprint, digitalization blueprint. What I have right now, what I will do, what is the benefit will come out, what is the ROI. And the biggest, you can say what is for me.
How relevant?
I have spent around 10, 12, 15 years across industry, and I'm various sector of industry. The customer, the marketing companies who bid, the R&D team tell that they only ask me what is the cost of the product. They never come back and tell me why we have won, why we have lost.
Correct.
How I will improve. Manufacturing doesn't know what is the capacity of my plant. So there are very questions internally within the organization itself, within one department, the communication I think. So there is a change. You have to start conceptualizing the importance of digitalization. So importance of digitalization and then start working with technology partner to come back and where I should invest and what benefit I will. That will define the way forward for that particular organization. I think that's what we approach customers.
But when it comes to implementing digitalization or going into the digital transformation journey, there has to have some kind of roadmap. Like, okay, once I decide to have digitalization, I need to have kind of the right technology, right talent, right product, and of course the right partner. As I just would like to mention the example today. I think Harsha was trying to play the video and the sound was not coming. The technology was there, hardware was there, but something was going wrong and we were not getting the sound. The same thing can be expected when we decide to have digitalized implementation. So how do you address these kind of problems? What kind of roadmap we can decide? I will start with this implement.
It's a little bigger question with more explanation.
I would request all the panelists give the time constraint, I think we briefly, if you can just put it in your thoughts.
Yes. Roadmap in the things, see, there are several aspects in them. We have to see that, see, in Europe, any machinery manufacturer, as far as Industry 4.0 is concerned, they emphasize on three things. One is that smart machine, smart service, and smart production or smart factory. Smart, okay, without any of one of this, then we cannot achieve that our digitalization we are talking about. So all the three should be there. So smart factory, in the sense whatever Mr. Shivendra, the entire Siemens team explained about those things are comes under smart factory. And smart service, it will have two parts. One part is within this smart factory system itself, because we have 10 number of machines. So machine number 7 says, my blood, my oil is, we have to check. I think my period is over, 10,000 hours is over. So it has to be checked. So it gives the alarm, or it gives the message to that particular department or people that oil has to be tested or to be replaced. So this kind of is smart service inside the factory itself. If you take outside the factory as a machinery supplier, what they are going to do, they have to support even any point of time, even midnight or any time something happened, they should be accessible to that machine. So we introduced that e-service. E-service is there will be a box connected to that machine, so that even if the engineer is out of town, if customer says the machine communicates there is a problem, so he can open the laptop, correct the modem and check what is the problem. Or even that engineer is busy, he can contact the factory directly. There is a team working by 24/7. They are working on that. So this is a kind of e-service. Then if you take the smart machine, as far as machine is concerned, the machine must be expressive. Expressive in the sense, it should have that auto control and auto correction system. So it has several topics. Suppose if you take that machine, expressive means we have the machine, but we don't know how much it is consuming. So we have a system in our machine, we have ecograph, and the plastic molding machines. You can get the energy consumption even every cycle, how much it is consuming. It will give every hour how much it is consuming. To convert 1 kilo raw material into the product, how much it is consuming. It will give the energy analysis. And I explained about that virtual pin kind of things. That's virtual software. Suppose you are getting the new mold. Your customer, they are getting a new part to produce. So you don't know how will be the production cycle, how it will function. So you have the virtual mold software. You load the tool and you check all the parameters, how you are doing in the machine. You do and you start the machine and you check what is the cycle time. Okay, what is the function? Okay, injection or refilling, what are the function? Every function, how much? Okay, approximately, not be 100% correct, maybe 80 to 90%. So the machine must be expressive. So when we go for digitalization, we should not talk only about the factory and your factory setup or all those things. We have to see other things even in machine also. Okay, we have the digitalization system, we have the Industry 4 or whatever thing you have. But the machine does not have the interface to communicate with that. Then what is the use? Because that my machine does not have that capacity. So machine must be expressive. Machine should communicate, whether we have to see. So the roadmap should be, first of all, we have to segregate. The customer has to be, we have to see, okay, the Industry 4 is relevant to whom. We have to see who is your customer. That's one. And what is the business size? Whether I have the equipments which will be suitable for this kind of digitalization. And what is the investment level? These are the 4 major factors to decide whether I have to go for digitalization. My end customer is something different, sitting in somewhere in the street and getting some product. So this is, he cannot pay for that value. So that what we have to do, so we have to decide these are the factors, your end customer, size of the business, all those things. So after when you enter the digitalization, we have the roadmap. Then we have seen what is the smart machine or smart service or smart factory. Then one more advantage of the digitalization is.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you just repeat out? Okay, we have time.
Yeah. Only one point is that internal and cross-organization services. That's one of the more important thing, whether it will more suitable for your application, that we have to see. Internal and cross-industrial services, okay, I have 15 factories. I have factories in Coimbatore and different places. So I have to monitor all those things. One is inside the factory monitoring and monitoring all the other factories. And apart from that, there is a OEM, he is giving jobs to 15 vendors. Then he wants to have the access to all the 15 places. So these kind of things, whether it is relevant to you there, these are the things, it plays major role in your roadmap. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Karunakan, what would be your recommendations on the roadmap?
No, according to me, I think it's very important thing is one, this is the thing is the must for the business, and we have to look at it in a different perspective. I think very important thing is the businesses today, I think this investment when it comes to the any kind of this digital, people used to kind of work for, ask for what is the payback. The first thing is because already everyone knows about the labor cost is it's not very kind of high like Europe. And when it comes to the Indian context, first thing is what is the return on investment we can get. I think this is the thing which is a must for the future. I think the companies has to look at it for the future perspective. This is one. And second thing is this kind of the strong will across the organization should be there. It's not only the top management. Top management can bring the horse to the water. I think the drinking the water is the kind of individual function should make use of it. So I think these two are the things. This all the other infrastructure and the relevant back-end support, all this can be established. Until otherwise, the people are willing to kind of transform, then it's not really successful. Many industries now having a very high-face software, but people are not using it because they don't have the kind of willingness to kind of use it. So the transformation is very important.
Right. Mr. Sundar, what would be your recommendations on the roadmap?
Almost what it is exactly the same. First, we would like to just list out the factors which impact the business, maybe in a short-term plan or on a long-term plan. And then based on the investment, what you make for each and everything, like maybe you invest something heavily for the digitalization, how soon you are going to get the payback. So based on that, you can plan your method of digitalization. I think the roadmap would be just creating the list of factors basically at each and every stage, and then just go ahead with that.
Yeah, Mr. Parakat, from the leadership perspective, what kind of roadmap you recommend?
As far as the roadmap is concerned, I would say that see, we have to plug the gaps. We have to plug the loopholes in the roadmap. See, to be precise, I would say there is some slight difference between the Industry 4 as well as the IoT. See, Industry 4 is a German concept, whereas IoT, it is the industrial internet consortium by many companies, private companies like GE, AT&T, Cisco, Intel, IBM and all that. See, Industry 4, it's an embedded software, whereas the other one, it's about the connectivity of the things. So, in one side, see, the pace is fastly changing, the technology is fastly changing, whereas the other one is an embedded software. So, is it balanced? That is one thing, because, see, IoT, see, into the connectivity is becoming very fast. Whether the software also can be updated that much, because if this was balanced, or I am not telling about this specific thing because I am not a banker, the scam in Punjab National Bank would not have happened. Because I met an IT head of a bank and he was telling, in the banking system, the SWIFT and the core banking system is not connected at all. So what happens? Because in the core banking system they put new technologies and connectivity and all other things, and now all the net banking, everything is there. The other software was installed, whatever SWIFT or something, transferring of money, a fast transfer of money. So, see, millions can disappear in this. So I would tell the roadmap must plug all the gaps, one thing. Now another thing, suppose now we are talking about driverless cars. See, we have to be very clear. Suppose the driverless cars are going to come. What about the cyber security part? See, can anybody control from outside, and if we are taken to some other destination? So such things also must be thought about when the roadmap is made. Another thing, now everybody is talking about Uberization. Just by switching one button, if the car is going to be at our road stand, it is going to be like that and very economic. It's 5 rupees, I can come from Palga to Coimbatore or Palga to Cochin, 5 rupees per kilometer. Then what's going to happen? Do we require so many vehicles in the future? So what is going to be, we have to think like that. So the digitalization as well as the automation, what will be the social impact? So if do we require so many vehicles then what will happen to our roads and other things? So we have to, what I have to tell in general is we have to plug all the loopholes and gaps while fixing the roadmap. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Subramanian.
Yeah, actually, it depends upon this. From the manufacturing company point of view, it depends upon the priorities whatever you are having. For example, I am from foundry. Almost 20% of our money is going to the power. So when that is a priority, we should try to automate or we want to do something on that actually first. So it depends upon the priority of the industry and depending upon the customer expectations also. For example, if you take any two-wheeler, when some companies, some brand is coming with some accessories, new accessories, that will become a standard from the next person onwards. So you can't escape from that. If you are not giving, nobody will buy. So something like that. So customer also will decide on this. But the roadmap clearly we have to prioritize some of the say about 4 or 5 points, and based on that we have to take a call. Otherwise, just for the sake of technology, if we start investing or if we start automating it, start doing it, it won't work. It will not give the desired result. That's what I want to say.
Shivendra.
Forget the question, maybe please what is the question?
What would be your recommendations for the roadmap? How will you decide the roadmap for digitalization?
The point is that is something remind the topic is new. What the first information what we get, we assume that is the critical thing.
Yes.
So today topic was that how Indian industry machinery manufacturer can target global market by leveraging digitalization. So digitalization was one buzzword. Industry 4.0 was another buzzword, and IoT was another thing which we mentioned. Now, I think the opening speech will also be understood why it is called Industry 4.0. Industrial Revolution 1 of steam, electrification, automation. Industry 4.0 definitely we are talking about industry. 4.0 what we are saying about connected system. So means what we are saying is that the equipment, the machines, they are connected. Now when I'm making those connected, we are not leveraging connection only to produce and make. Now it's also about the Internet of Things. Internet of Things that we are using a technology that when machine is operating, I am monitoring its parameter by sensor. The sensor are putting the things on the cloud and I am monitoring when it's going to break down or whatever. So there are connected systems. Those are the connected Internet of Things that also impact as a technology on your supply chain. When is the logistic, when is the demand, when is my supplier shipping it, when it's coming on board, from whom it is going. So there is a play of technology. So there are 3 buzzwords of Industry 4.0, digitalization, supply chain, the Internet of Things are coming together. And I will recommend to a lot of people, instead of reading a lot of articles on that particular, I think either McKinsey or AT Kearney, they come out with the Industry 4.0 circle. This Industry 4.0 circle will divide this Industry 4.0 in a very simplistic manner. Industry 4.0 and IoT for supply chain, for product development, for big data analytics, and so many technological terms which is continuing. So we need to start comprehending things on top of that. So my question is how we address and how we be ready with this particular. A couple of what we call this together is that one keyword is that the system are going to invest today. One thing as we first question we should come to ask is that is this system is open? I'm buying a software solution as you mentioned is that I'm buying a machine. Does it have provision to connect to that? If I'm investing in a machine, is it locking me to connect to my own additional auxiliary, whatever the component or functionality or models are there, or it can allow me to connect to this. So system need to be open. That is how basically you are going to safeguarding your systems on top of it. That is my one first which strikes me. use. Second one is there in terms of how we address the deployment challenges. From our side, what we do, we are making industry templates. When Sahib mentioned that it can be rolled out within 1 month, your R&D process. When we say we have created a template for energy, for heavy equipment, for industrial machinery, for marine. So that when what happens that when you want to develop a whole textile machine or a CNC machine, we have the whole deployment carried out. The one of the biggest mistake what industry does when they try to put up an enterprise layer, customer buys the enterprise layer solution. Then everybody teams come out and bring down together paper that this is our process, documented process, and people try to digitize the document process, but actually nobody is following that process. So one thing is to read and ask the question: Are we using? Not using? What are the steps which can be taken? These are the 3 broader lines. I think remaining. Yeah, I answered out right. Yes. A bit yes. So point is that we need to understand what portion of digitalization. Now what we say that when industry 4.0 comes, we say systems are connected. Everything is connected. Development, production. So digitalization, what we say is providing a layer of solution component which help in product development, manufacturing, production, execution, and take up to service. So take an example of a wind turbine where basically wind turbine mill is running. I have put sensors on wind turbine to capture any vibration or additional noise. When turbines start generating more noise or more vibration, the sensor take the IoT as a technology, send that signals back to that organization that there is some noise coming up together or there is a vibration coming together. Now if you have a digital twin of a 3D, you already done simulation of that product, the engineering team are able to figure out why that noise or why that is coming. Is it because of more wind pressure, low wind pressure, what exactly, or it has run the life cycle of for 1 month, some part is due for service, some part has failed together. So that is what it's a digitalization of, when you say digital twin of product, digital twin of manufacturing, digital twin. So I think that is how we can come.
Correct. Yeah. I suggest we should have at least a couple of questions. I know we are running probably 5 minutes short of time, but we will have a couple of questions.
So anybody having a question can raise their hand.
That's right. Please introduce yourself.
I am Rana Chandra. I am working with LG Ultra Industries Limited, and I am heading the design new project, new product development. And see, basic question about this IoT, how this thing is fine. Like there is a lot of ambiguity and all this thing. See, the main problem what I faced in the industry, user doesn't know what he wants. Everybody is trying to, when the problem goes over the head only, they realizes they have to do something. That culture which is making people want to invest on modernization, development. Because I have a technology, I don't know how to use it. In this situation, like if I have to use AI in an industry, where are my value addition scopes? What is my value stream mapping? Which are non-value added activities? What is losing my production? These questions has to be asked on a daily basis. And who does that? Who will encourage? Who will lead that? It is like, who will bear the cat? So this is my question. And if we can close this gap, the circle can be complete.
Right. Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Very good question. I think that is the question which comes to everyone's mind. You are work and we are doing executing day-to-day job, and nobody is going home at 4 o'clock. Everybody of us are going and spending more hours than what we are our HR letter equipment say that we are going to work from 9:30 to 5. 2 points are there. 2 things need to be changed about. I will first put from Siemens side what we have done. We have created a tool called digital maturity model, DMM, which means that, and it is mapped to the customers. So any industry we go together, we have created top level, macro level solution. If you are designing equipment, if you are designing machinery, if you are designing this thing, you need to do project management, you need to do design, you need to do test, you need to very get macro blocks, which are the core level of functionality that organization should do, execute to come out with the product. That is number one. There is a template at that. You can say that the template maybe where system sub-supplier activity maybe nearer to 95% or maybe little more modern or whatever. But what we do together with customer, we sit with customer and we start that in this process, because that is theirs, where you stand. So we have said that for best in class, you should have a model and you should have the data connected with manufacturing. Do you have? We say no, your situation is at number 2, you should be at 3. So we first do the digital maturity of your as-is versus what should be the ideal or required up there. But then it throws a lot of investment opportunities where organization should improve, which is basically a big challenge. Company says that suddenly I cannot invest so much of amount in my overall business. Then we started doing the prioritization of which area is a low-hanging fruit where investment is low, returns are higher. So this tool helps together with the digital maturity of doing the digital maturity of an organization, prioritization, where I should invest first. These are tied up to organization goal, and that basically our goal is that this is how it will benefit the organization to take that decision jointly. And this is the approach we are following with much of our, wherever which are some of the account we are engaged, create a digital blueprint. And that is the income. Once the blueprint is ready, it is with the IP of that organization, the organization can take it, prioritizes, somebody has preponed their investment, somebody has pushed their investment. Now, this is from our technology side. The other key important point is that within the organization, the realization that this change will be made. So that is very important.
So what you mentioned is a comparative thing, which is right. Like I took a benchmark or somebody has raised the bar, I compare it with the bar. But case is like I have my problem, I don't see my problem. If I only see my problem, I try to find a solution. That leap is missing.
So that one, see, the digital maturity model exactly does the same thing. That you are manufacturing a pump, or you are manufacturing a, let's put it out, you are manufacturing an energy efficient motor. Rating 5. How many companies are manufacturing energy manufacturing with star rating 5 in India? So now if I start mapping, I will tell that there is a B, C, D things are there. There is a digital technology to come out with it quickly. What should be the parameter for your winding and other this thing? This is the technology. You should use the digitalization technology for your empirical mathematical calculations to come out with this thing. And this exactly the technology is the low-hanging fruit about for which I was saying that this you should invest at the first. Forget about the rest of the thing. So DMF actually tells you not about the process. The process you should do, the tools you should utilize, the function you should do. And then we sit together and so we basically also tell them, yes, I don't even know where I'm going wrong. Digital maturity model will exactly come and tell you, you have to follow 10 steps, you are following only 8, or you are missing a critical step in the middle. That way you are spending more manpower, more workforce, but your output is not what you should be. We basically help you coming out with the output of your prioritization, where the skills training which is required, the investment, when the ROI can come, like all 3-4 questions basically. EMM helps all that come with the report.
Okay.
And we'll be happy to interact with you. The organization will take it forward. Maybe share some of the views. And for larger audience, I think this is the way. And this is what we call it. We say what it is for me. We come back, engage with you. This is your business operation. This is your business code. You are working in 1 city, 2 city. You are supplying to 1 OEM. You want to supply to 2 OEM. This should be your. These are the set of processes you should have. Forget tools. This is the process you should have. Are you following that? Some of the process you are not following. Okay, your rating is there is 0. Do you have a digital tool in there? Maybe your rating is 2. Is your tool of engineering and manufacturing connected? Maybe you are at 3. So it will tell you all. That will come that gap. Now where should I invest? Then we have to prioritize. You cannot invest before the thousands. So 2 priorities, joint prioritization. Then we told you this is the risk of investing in one shot. This is the, if I do one phase, 2 phase, 3 phase, or omit something for future. Like 3D printing, you say, I don't know, we'll put that portion in the future. You keep on evaluating. And you measure the KPIs. I was making able to release a design in 6 months. With this digital technology, I should be able to do 4 months. Before you go for phase 2, you measure your again the KPIs. Did I improve upon that? And what was the challenge? Was the digital tool was the challenge, or the people training was the challenge, or user was the challenge? So you can monitor that. That's what I hope, sir, I am able to answer. I'll be happy to engage with you.
Do we have time for one more question?
take one more.
One more, yeah.
I think gentlemen raised their hand from here and then.
Request you all to please be really quick because we are losing ahead.
Yeah, quick in asking the question, quick in answering the question.
I think we can take all the three questions together, 1, 2, 3, and we'll try to merge it that way.
Okay.
So myself, Yuvarajan, I am coming from National Machine Works. Actually, I bought the digitalization program from Siemens. It is for CMM automation software. It is called Index CMM and QPE. We bought this license, but unfortunately, Siemens doesn't able to prove this. So you are making all the digitalization speaking, but not able to prove in India.
I'll take that. Do you have any contact questions?
Very specific.
No, I just thank you.
You just thank you.
Good evening, Mahindran from Sathi, yes, again, Head of Engineering. We are familiar almost with all this CAD, CAM, CA, and PLM, even though we are using. My question is, technology is growing one side with the competition in software side. Another area, the resources, the manpower, what we are hiring today, it's a very big gap. Even we are not able to retain the existing knowledgeable people. This is the industry in the Coimbatore. The biggest gap what I feel in the industry is knowledge management. How to capture the expertise and put into a software. Later we are reinventing the wheels again and again after 3 years or 5 years.
Let's take the last question.
Hi, I'm Janashmi from Master Group of Companies. So, having this question technology is growing and software, whatever it is, it keeps upgrading. And we're talking about automating the process. It's from end to end, and that too with the machineries that we have in the manufacturing industries. So, how compatible the machineries are, so that it will support with the technologies that keeps upgrading going forward.
So I will try to answer in the reverse.
Quickly.
Most of them are technological questions. I'll try to answer them. And unless I was want to say here. Your question is that we want saying that we want to connect everything. Technology keeps on upgrading. How organization or user can make up as a point that I'm investing in a capable system. This is, you remember when I talked about starting, how we address the challenge of adoption. I said the first what we should ask is that, is the system you are investing, is it open? Does it support the integrating with multiple tools? Does the machine not blocking with one particular technological provider? That is the first question. I will give you a very real example. Few of the defense organizations run program for 15 years and 20 years. And some of these programs they initially designed in 3D. After 10 years, the software is not able to open. Forget about integrating. They are not able to open its own data. When Siemens provided with the technology, we said forget about whether you made in us, whether you made in yours, you can even migrate your data and continue. So open is one word. Everybody understands that particular machine manufacturer also coming with the equipment that are basically interacting with each other machine. There are manufacturing execution system also for connecting the machines on the shop. If you know that I cannot connect with Rockwell or Siemens or something, I will not use this system. This basically comes from both the side. Organization are larger investing to make sure to be able to integrate, cross-upgrade, support multiple operating systems which are there. So when we launch a product, we say our product can be installed on 3 level of operating system, means we can sustain without upgrading for 6 years. You can integrate on multiple. But only point is here, large subject, there are multiple tools you need to procure, you have to always remind yourself, are you to open? That is the one at a very open line. Am I locking myself with the one particular vendor? That is the one guideline I will say, not this will answer. Maybe we can share my content, we can discuss further, but does it answer that? Just gentlemen, sir, your question was very important. 2 questions you raised, if I reframe that. One was the skills to operate these things. Another one is the knowledge, how to capture knowledge within the organization. The skills I mentioned from Siemens side, our early CEO of the organization realized it 10 years back. He thought that I cannot give, earlier the culture of India was that you give free software to education institute that will do branding. This college engineers will go out to engineering college, say, I know the software, please buy the software. And that trick worked for many years. That we said, I got a guy. We said it doesn't work like that. Tool is only one portion. You need to put industry center of excellence. With that itself, I think 2012 was the first, 13 was the first time. In Gujarat, a lot of state colleges, 5 industry center of excellence was set up on the overall theme. That was the first, better done in Andhra Pradesh, around 4 states. That basically what it means is, remember that people are putting on together, that knowledge skills people are there, who knows this technology. When I was stick machine, last time we were saying, I should get an operator at the same cost what I am recruiting it today to operate this business technology. The cost of operation. Second question which was that within my organization, I add up a knowledge plan. If I was in your organization, I said I want to design and move it together, how that knowledge is captured. I think this is currently a little wide little wide open. There are, from the process side, from technology provider providing some templates which basically start recording the historical information on why I did this change, why the change order was done to record. Some of the companies have templated here, I will not name that company, but it's a motorcycle manufacturer, but it does that. Any voice of customer is any product which are there, template is in why I did this change. So if the moment anybody starts a new design, he said I want to design a suspension system, or I want to design a brake lever, I want to design a new engine bar. The moment he starts a design, he has a history of 10 previous design which was started, which was rejected, which was stopped with the reason behind, so it will pick up the knowledge. So it is an individual organization, you can say goal, initiative that I need to capture knowledge, or sometimes they are supported through, sometimes technology supports that. But the answer is get not closed, I will say, this is why this to this one. To sir, your question, it was CMM or it was DPP?
Yes, CMM, DPP.
So, I am aware that maybe there could have ended in some problem. I can assure the audience here, I am reaching out to you.
Okay, one to one.
Reaching out to you.
Can we want to know?
Yeah, that's the product feature, whatever it is here. Let's take that and I will make sure that I raise it to the PD and get a better response. Whatever way, I will try to address that particular. Another one feature I will put it together. I have seen a lot of time. I just want to passage this because in corruption, it is in India sometimes what we feel bad. It is not okay to ask that difficult question or wrong or sometimes we find by a technology there is a product, there is a bug in that. Right? I am not talking about only software. It can be anything. You buy a product on Amazon, flip anything. We stop by this particular. I have been many experiences in this one. If I continue to pursue that particular one, keep on escalating until your voice is heard and you get a response. You get a response, reach out to how that. It can be product bug. Somebody is writing coding in video code. Some function may not happen, right? Because we need to get it correct, right? So we'll check it. Thanks, sir.
Right.
I think hope we answered it.
Yes, if you have more questions, I'm sure you will have. We'll have it addressed during the networking dinner. All the panelists will be there. So you can have one-to-one question answer session there. So I would like to thank all the panelists for making the discussion interactive and very resourceful, and I'm sure the audience will have something to take it with them. And don't just limit the discussion in this room, take it with you, have it more, discuss more, have it analyzed. So to sum it up, if you really want to target the international market, you should have the global solutions, not the domestic solutions. And to have it achieved, we need to have digitalization. So invest in the right technology, invest in the right talent, and the digitalization will be with you. So thank you, thank all the audience, thanks Siemens, IPI, the ITAMA for their support in making this discussion very interactive and successful.